Others, if you finished your salat, if you can please come forward, inshallah, we're about to start. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My brothers and sisters, alhamdulillah, I've chosen a topic today called What is Happiness? And subhanAllah, the reason why I chose this topic is I see so many people, they're wasting time, they're deluding themselves, shaitan is tricking them. Why? Because they're too busy, wasting every day, trying to look for something. Every day you look around and you speak to a brother, you speak to a sister, and you see they're so occupied in today's world. You see they're so occupied in chasing something, thinking that if they get this or if they reach this level, they're going to be happy. Whether it is, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad, buying a new car, whether it is getting a better job, whether it is owning a business, or whether it is reaching a status, no matter what it is, we're always thinking that there's something that can make us happier than what we are right now. But what's sad is we all forget that there's going to be a day when Malik al-Maut is going to visit, and lights are going to be out, and everything that you thought was going to make you happy is not going to be taken with you in your grave. So whether you work so hard to pay off that Mercedes-Benz, when you go in your grave, I can promise you that Mercedes-Benz is not going with you. Where you work really hard to build that house and make it bigger and bigger and bigger, when you die, it's not going with you. And subhanAllah, when you die, most people grab that house, they sell it, they spend the money within 6 months anyway. So you've wasted your whole life paying off this house, building this house, extending this house, making it look better. And then when you die, 9 times out of 10, your family will grab that house, sell it, they'll fight over it, they won't talk to each other anymore because everyone thinks they deserve more of the will. And what happens? It splits up your family, you're in your grave, and not an atom of that house is any benefit to you in your grave. Or not an atom of that Mercedes-Benz is any benefit to you in your grave. Or not an atom of that money that you've saved is any benefit to you in your grave. Or not an atom of that clothes, and not an atom of your status, and not an atom, not an atom, not an atom, and the list goes on. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He told us clearly, the only two things that will go with you in your grave are your good deeds and your bad deeds. You know, there's so many ways we can earn these good and bad deeds, there's so many ways we can bank them. And ironically, it's not at the Commonwealth Bank, or the West Bank, or the St. George, or the Bank of Queensland. This is a bank of Allah, and you cash them in on the day we call Yawm al-Qiyamah, which is Judgment Day. What are some of these deeds that we can earn really simple, that can make us happy? That we don't have to work for 25 years to get. That we don't have to work 2 jobs. That we don't have to sacrifice family time. That we don't have to sacrifice time for Allah, or the masajid, or ibadah, or the rights to my wife. You know, subhanAllah, these times are very simple, and these tasks are very simple. The tasks that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told you if you do, you get a tick, and when you come to me, you'll be rewarded. Let's share some of these examples. One of them I was talking about today. You know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed me enough to know I work at the funeral parlor, and I see many people, and I was talking to brothers today, and telling them you'll be amazed how many people die and no one shows up to their funeral. Now I don't know about you, but your big house and your car and your money and everything that you thought made you happy, now imagine how much of that happiness comes when it's time for your janazah and there's no one there. You know, we've got to look at the problem of why this happens. Why? One of the problems is because we're too busy looking for happiness. Happiness that might have split me up with my father. Happiness that might have split me up with my mother. Happiness that might have split me up with my wife. Happiness that might have split me up with my children. A fine example of that is work. Many brothers feel that it's their job to earn the biggest job, the biggest hours, double shifts. Why? So they think that I want to astar. I want to have sitra on my family, and the only way I can have sitra on my family, they start with a small house, and the shaitan makes them think a bigger house, then a bigger house, then a bigger house. Before they know it, these guys are doing 18-hour shifts, 6 days, 7 days a week. Now what's happening here? This brother's deluded by shaitan, thinking he's buying happiness. I'm working hard, and that's making my family happy. Really? Is it really making his family happy? Go ask this brother's wife, are you happy that your husband's never home? Are you happy you have to raise these children on your own? Are you happy the father's not at home leading the prayers? Teaching his kids Quran? Taking the family to the masajid? What happiness is this father really bringing to his family that they can implement in their life so they can have permanent happiness? Because we can all agree that house that he's out there working for is not going to make anyone happy. And when I say anyone happy, it's not going to bring a single quality to what we said at the very start of this conversation, which is when they face Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because true happiness is permanent happiness. Because if I said to you, give me $1 million and I'll make you happy for 10 minutes, hands up, who's going to give it to me? The answer is no one. A shaitan makes you think that it's worth living for. So this brother now is working 18 hours a day. Let's look at reality of what's happening in his home. For 1 minute. The man of the house is missing. No one's going to take the woman of the house serious. By the time she cooks and cleans and does the washing, the daughter might be on Facebook talking to a mate. The son's probably taking drugs. The youngest son is looking at the older two, what they're doing, is going, well, if they're doing it, I can do it. The father comes home and he's too tired, he just wants to eat and sleep. Close your eyes, open your eyes, these kids are 18, 19, 20 years old. This man might have finished paying off the house, now he wants to be the man. We've heard many stories now, the wives have gone and found another man because he's not home to give at the time. The son's so high on drugs, by the time the father wants to be a man in his house and he's finished his work, the son can't even acknowledge him because he's lost his mind because of drugs. And the daughter's run away because the guy that she wants to be with, the father doesn't want to approve of, so now his whole family's destroyed. What's he got left? This house that he worked all his life for. Now where's the happiness in that home? That's one example. Another example is brothers today think happiness is either with status in the community, or the car he drives, or the clothes he wears, or telling people lies about who he is and what he's got. Thinking that if I walk away from this group of people, they're going to go, wow, look at me. Look at me. Again, he doesn't realize that shaitan is tricking him to what? Cause all these sins with a reward at the end. What's the reward? Happiness. But when he gets there, it's like a puff of smoke. Shaitan says, I've got another one. Then you've got the sisters. They want to follow fashion. They're on social media taking selfies left, right and center. We used to put silicone in our windows, now they're putting it in their lips. You know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells them to cover. They've translated that now as wrap. So now they put the scarf on, but their clothes are so tight that the guy on the surfboard wearing a wetsuit, he looks like he's wearing baggy clothes. And every man is looking at her, but subhanallah, shaitan has got them deluded again. Like the other ones that got tricked, thinking that you've covered, you tick the box, you're fine. But hold on, sister, why are you covered? Happiness is not about covering. Happiness is about understanding why you've covered yourself, sister. You've covered yourself, sister, first of all, for the sake of Allah. Second of all, for self-respect. Third of all, so no people look at you and attract attention. Because if you're wearing the scarf and the brother can tell what size waist you've got and you've attracted his attention, well, guess what that scarf has done? Nothing. You need to forgive me, I'm being a little bit harsh, but sometimes we need a dose of reality, and I'm giving it to myself before I give it to anyone else. Where do I find a happy sister? Is when I find one who's content. When I find one who says, you know what? I don't care about the way I look in public. I don't care about how fashionable my clothes are in public. I don't care about lipstick. I don't care about attracting boys' attention. What do I care about? I care about looking after my mother, looking after my father, protecting my deen, protecting my dignity, and then, and only then, I'll rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to send me a man who's going to take me to my next level of deen, because this is a man that's going to respect me, honor me, treat me right, respect my family, and raise my children, so we can all, Yawm al-Qiyamah, if Allah accepts, enter Jannah. That's permanent happiness for a woman. Brothers and sisters, why are we going wrong? We've heard it many times. We've heard many times our ulama say, you are who you hang with. You go to the masajid and 80% of the time they're empty. A brother wants to give a talk, no one wants to listen. You go on a visit and knock on someone's door, like he's doing everything he can just to get you away. We are not happy because shaitan is giving us happiness that's never, ever, ever going to last. Because if it was, would you not agree with me that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would have said that this happiness would go with you in your grave, and then after your grave it will come to me, and then you can cash it into me? If it was permanent happiness, you'd be able to take it all the way. I've said it before and I'll say it again. If happiness was, if this world and the money in it was your permanent happiness, I'm happy to give a credit card to anybody in this audience. And this credit card be unlimited. And say to you, take this credit card, go to any country in the world, and buy all the happiness you want. Sister or brother, take this credit card, go to any country in the world, and buy everything you want. Buy all the happiness. But on one condition. When you jump back on that plane and you come back to me in Sydney, you can't bring anything with you. Now, if I gave that credit card to anyone here and said, you can't bring anything back, put your hand up if you're even going to buy something. SubhanAllah, every time I ask that question, no one puts their hand up. And when I ask why, they say, brother, why should I buy something overseas if I can't bring it back here? What joy am I going to get out of it? But correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't Allah tell us that in the Quran? Didn't the Prophet of Allah tell us that in the Sunnah? I don't want to dwell, I think you're getting the message. This is why suicide rate is high. This is why we got so many alcoholics in our ummah. This is why a lot of us are turning to drugs. This is why a lot of us are getting divorced. This is why a lot of us are not talking to our mother and father. This is why we've got a lot of problems. Why? Because we are all chasing that happiness that does not exist. By Allah, the only happiness that exists is when you do something for the sake of Allah and you've just got the atom of a hope saying, Ya Rab, Allah accepts that deed of me Yawm al-Qiyamah. That is a happiness that not even all the money in the world can buy. My brothers and sisters in Islam, on my journey from my dark days to where I am now, I stopped and I thought that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first sent us, Adam and all the Anbiya, and then He sent us the Quran, and then in case anybody didn't understand, He sent us what we understand today and what I call the YouTube of the Quran. So the YouTube, the 3D, the one that showed us how to sit, stand, talk, respect, give, forgive, the one that showed us the YouTube in real life, how to find permanent happiness. For the ones who don't know who I'm talking about, his name is Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Why do I call him the YouTube? Because he's the YouTube of yesterday. Now when we know how to cook, how do I want to cook something? Get on YouTube and watch step by step. How do I want to fix my son's bike? I get on YouTube and I watch step by step. How do I want to fly an aeroplane? I get on YouTube and I watch step by step. Everything we want to do, subhanAllah, it's Google or YouTube. But none of us ever think, it's not Google, and it's not Sheikh Google, and it's not Sheikh YouTube. Allah tells you, it's the Quran and the Sunnah. My brothers and sisters, I am telling you today, if money and enjoyment of this dunya would bring permanent happiness, by Allah, I wouldn't be the man I am today. Because I chose that journey. And I looked for that happiness. And I see brothers in this audience that have been through the same path. And they've looked for that happiness. Whether it was through something illegal, or whether it was through making money in a legal way. Whatever it was, they're sitting here today because they didn't tick that box. Please, I am begging and begging myself to first of all, eliminate your pride. I'm telling you, take it from me, I'm the first one. Eliminate your pride. Why? Because our biggest problem today is pride. If a father is telling his son, the way you're driving the car, he's sitting in the passenger seat, you push the brakes too hard, and if you keep doing this, you're going to have to keep replacing brakes. Allahu Akbar. The father, now he's in big trouble. The son looks at him, Dad, you're so old-fashioned. You don't know. I know. When you used to drive cars, it was different. Now brakes are different. Rah, 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 rah. And this whole conversation starts. Shaitan comes in the middle. He gets aggressive, says a couple of disrespectful things to his father. Why? Just as simple because his father said, don't press the brakes. Is that where your happiness is? Or should your happiness spring with, you know what, Dad? You're probably right. You're sitting in the passenger seat and you can probably feel the brakes better than I can because I'm driving. Inshallah, from now on, I'll remember that every time I drive. May Allah reward you. Where's your happiness now? Your father smiled because you've respected him. Your father says, may Allah rain His blessing on you. Or says, Allah yarda'ak. And then the malaika witness that and they take it to Allah. Now is that permanent happiness? Or is that happiness that the shaitan's going to go for half a second? Or the sisters, protecting the way you look, not allowing a man to come and make you look so cheap. Letting men know through your actions rather than your words that I'm a Muslim woman and I'm the jewel of Islam. I'm a priceless jewel. SubhanAllah, Islam makes a woman priceless, so precious. Sometimes when I look and I read, I wish I was a woman because how high Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has elevated them. But today, shaitan deludes them to think that there's happiness, but what he's doing is he's actually degrading the quality that Islam has given them. Because they're priceless, they're untouchable. Unless Prophet ﷺ said this in akhlaq and deen, and you visit the home, and you ask for the sister's hand, and you go the right way, then the father knows that this is a person that's got dignity and respect and honor, and he knows that his daughter's going to be looked after, and maybe this man's going to follow Sirat al-Mustaqim, so he gives his blessing. It's not that your father wants control, because realistically, I'm a father now, and I understand it's not about control. It's about, I want what's best for my children, because I don't want them to go through hardship that maybe I went through, or my friend went through, or over my years of witnessing people, the wisdom that I've gathered that I don't want you to go through. There's your permanent happiness, sister. Your permanent happiness is having a brother who's going to honor you and respect you and love you the way Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam respected and honored and treated his women. There is your only permanent happiness. Because the ones that are going to come through the back door or talk to you behind your father's back or promise you this and promise you that, I'm yet to see one fulfill those promises. And for the ones that are chasing money and chasing cars, I'm not saying don't go work. Do not misinterpret my words. What I'm saying is prioritize. Prioritize, and the way you prioritize is the way Rasulullah prioritized. SubhanAllah, he had so many wives, but they all respected him. Why? Because of the time he spent with them, what he said to them, how he dealt with them, how he dealt with their issues, the way he guarded them, the way he protected them, the way he spoiled them, the way he loved them. They were able to get permanent happiness. And they were content. They didn't want anymore. Brothers and sisters, I'm in Queensland right now with some amazing brothers. I can tell you, we're in the month of July. This is the first time this year that I actually feel happy. Why? Because I'm sleeping in God's house. I'm standing side by side with brothers. We're praying to Allah, and our ulama say that our reward is 27 times. We're protected from the elements of the outside world. You might see a brother that you might change his life with a simple smile. And it's time out from the dunya. And reminding us that, hello, knock, knock, knock. What are you chasing? What are you looking for? Where are you going? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and we said it today, He says, Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. To me you belong, and to me you return. And your happiness, Allah tells you, is going to be in Jannah. The Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said to the Sahaba, he goes, our happiness is in eternity. When they said, why? He goes, because this earth is only a short time. Jannah is eternity. And if you want to know happiness, brothers and sisters, it's not in Google and it's not on YouTube. Because subhanAllah, I'll share a fine example with you. You go to IKEA, hands up if you've bought something from IKEA. Anyone? Yep. You buy a flat pack. You buy a flat pack. As soon as you open up this flat pack, subhanAllah, they put a whole house in a flat pack. I don't know how they do it. As soon as you open it up, what's the first thing you reach for? The instruction manual. And if that instruction manual is not there, you look at these million pieces, you start scratching your head, your anxiety kicks in, you pick up the phone and you ring IKEA. Now if I'm wrong, please anyone tell me I'm wrong. And the first thing you say is put your manager on the phone. When the manager gets on the phone, you say, manager, how on God's earth am I going to put this back together if I haven't got the manual? There's 1,000 pieces here. Am I right, brothers? None of us will give it an attempt, and if we do, it will never, ever, ever be 100%. And if it is, it'll be 1 in a billion. Why? Because unless you're the person who designed it or created it, you are not going to know where to start and where to finish, and what goes where. Now hold that thought. Let's implement that in today and being a Muslim. The person that created that coffee table from IKEA knows how to put it together from start to finish, and knows where every screw goes, and knows by doing all this, you're going to have a successful outcome by enjoying that coffee table. Yes? Okay. So now, what about the person that created you and I? What about the one that created me and you? There's 1,000 pieces in a coffee table, but how many pieces is there on the instruction manual of life? And how many of us are referring back to that manual? And how many of us are following that manual? We don't follow the manual, we don't read the manual, we don't understand the manual, we don't implement the manual into our life, but We look and we go, why aren't we happy? Then we turn to drugs, then we turn to alcohol, depression, anxiety, suicide, then the psychologist, then the psychiatrist, then the doctor, Xanax, Mercendol, the list goes on. Then before you know it, we cop a phone call, the brother's raped himself, necked himself, the sister slit her wrist. I'm not saying that's why everybody commits suicide, I'm just sharing an example. When all we have to do is look at the instruction manual of life. And for the ones who don't know what I'm talking about, it's called the Quran. Because when Allah created us, He gave us this instruction manual, so there's no excuse for us not to be happy or understand why everything happens to us and how we can fix it and what we're supposed to do about it. There's your permanent happiness. Look at your Prophet, peace and blessing be upon him. Did he chase wealth? Did he chase the houses? Did he chase anything that we're chasing today? No, he didn't, my brothers. No, he didn't, my sisters. Because if happiness was there, believe in me, I think you'll all agree with me today, he would have been the first one to chase it. But in fact, he said, get it from here and give it to here. Get it from here and give it to here. And the only happiness he found was through Allah Azza wa Jalla. So on that note, I'm going to ask myself and ask you all. Repent today. Renew your intentions today for happiness. And understand that there's no permanent happiness in this dunya. Because Allah promises you, كُلِّ نَفْسٍ ذَائِقَةُ الْمَوْتِ. Every soul shall taste death. And nothing here is going to go with you. So there's your answer to there's no happiness here. Because when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says every soul shall taste death, He never told you in that sentence or in any sentence when you're sick, when you're old, when you're frail, when you jump off a cliff, when you get asthma, when you get cancer, when you get AIDS, when you're in an aeroplane. He never told you when you're going to die. He just said, work up to that day. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنِّ وَالْإِنسِ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. I created jinkind and mankind. Then he uses the word illa. The word illa means only. لِيَعْبُدُونَ, only to worship me. Forgive me if I didn't pronounce it properly, but I think you're all getting the message. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says it clearly. I'm not saying trap yourself in the house and worship Allah 24 hours a day. I'm just saying prioritize and understand that your happiness is through Allah. And you can be happy by respecting your wife. You can be happy by building kinship with your family. You can be happy by building friendship with your brothers in the masajid. You can be happy by going on holidays. But make sure your salat is done, your siyam is done, your unity with your family is done. You know, you're praying in the masajid, you've got your wife's respect, your children's respect, and you've got Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on your side. Then and only then is your happiness. I ask you all to forgive me if I offended anybody today. Subhanallah wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna sayyidina Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.